sa undergrad and sa OJT ninyo for sure class, meron kayong mga karanasan at mga nalaman na very valuable information on the different spectroscopic methods. Alright, let's begin. So spectroscopic methods rely on the interaction between matter and electromagnetic radiation. In layman's term, guys, ay light para makagain tayo ng insights into the properties and composition of substances. Kaya nasabi natin, guys, na one of the most powerful tool in analytical chemistry because this can enable us to identify, quantify, and elucidate the structure of many chemical compounds. Kaya guys, kabongga ang spektro. Madali lang class, madali lang maunawaan kung paano nagkakaroon ng interaction ang electromagnetic radiation and ang matter. Promise. Okay? So here meron tayong various types of interactions. Very, very common, naka-highlight ang absorption. The process in which a substance absorbs energy from electromagnetic radiation and transitions to a higher energy state. For sure, guys, in Gen Chem, you still remember from ground state to the excited state. So class, electrons or nuclei absorb energy and move to a higher energy level. So pwede itong iba't ibang types ng transition, electronic, vibrational, or rotational. So ang mga key methods, of course, andyan ang UV-Vis na muna na IR, NMR. So class, napakaraming applications ng absorption. This could be used in identifying bonds, determining concentration, yan. Ito yung laging ginagawa sa Anachem. And of course, also qualitative analysis. Okay? So yan class, ang absorption, ang nature ng absorption. Ma'am, pati ba emission, meron tayo later? Yes. Sa dulo class ng lesson na to, meron din tayo about emission. And class, reading homework nyo na itong about fluorescence and scattering. Alright? So now, pag-usapan natin guys, itong very, very common, very useful sa mga analysis natin, ang UV-Vis spectroscopy. But before we dive into UV-Vis spectro, pag-usapan kasi natin ang UV-Vis region. So yung region sa electromagnetic spectrum na mahalaga for UV-Vis spectro. So UV stands for ultraviolet. Katabi na klase, very thin slice na visible region na nakikita natin. Okay, hence the term visible. So mamit yung ultraviolet tsaka infrared din natin nakikita. Well, they're not part of the visible region, pero near. Okay, near visible sila class. So in the visible region, I hope you remember Roy-Gebiv. Ito yung colors, diba guys, ng rainbow that our eyes can perceive. So, para class mas madaling na maalala. Kasi lagi may question dito sa Anachem regarding energy, wavelength, frequency, o para madaling maalala ha. Let's recall class ang mga equations na inaaral rin naman sa physics, not only in chem. Diba? E is equal to h nu. Nu is the Greek letter for frequency. Another, E is equal to hc over lambda. Okay, I hope you remember guys. So, that nga natin. So, E is equal to E energy ha, H Planck's constant times nu, so frequency. So ma-match ang frequency at energy po, they are directly proportional, yes. So kapag tinatanong kayo anong type of energy, or sorry, anong part ng region ang mataas ng energy, mataas din guys ang frequency niya. E is also equal to Planck's constant times C, speed of light, over lambda. Okay, so ma-match ang energy at lambda, sila po ay inversely proportional, yes. Okay, so example guys, violet is the color in the visible region na mataas ang energy, strongest ang energy sa visible region. Ito rin class ang part ng visible region na syempre mataas ang frequency, malakas ang frequency. E ma-match pagdating po sa wavelength, violet class ang may shortest wavelength. So typically 400 nanometers. O wag kalilimutan na, violet, strongest in terms of energy and frequency, but shortest pagdating class sa wavelength. Opposite na class ang red. Tingnan nyo ha, ultraviolet versus infrared. Consider the meaning of the word ultra. Ultra means stronger. Infra, inferior. O ha, madali, di ba? So ang red, it has the weakest, lowest energy, and also the longest wavelength. Mamich, parang magagamit yung SS tsaka LL, o di ba? Medyo similar din sa ginawa natin guys sa INORG, sa Gen M a long time ago. So shortest wavelength, strongest frequency slash energy. For the red color naman na near na ng IR, ito ay may longest na wavelength, at ito class ay may lowest na energy or frequency sa visible region. Okay, so I hope hindi nyo na yan makakalimutan. O class, may another fun fact tayo here about UV. Did you know na ang UV, pwede yung UVC, UVB, UVA. Ma'am, lahat ba to nakaka-reach na surface ng Earth? O, alamin natin ha, sa ating portion on, did you know? Di ba meron tayong short wave, tapos may long wave na UV. Alam kaya doon, ma'am, ang more or most harmful? Alam class, did you know, UVC is the most dangerous. But fortunately, it's naturally filtered by the atmosphere. In fact, guys, our ozone layer, okay, yung ozone layer na part ng atmosphere natin, ang nakaka-filter nito. UVB is the most harmful type of UV that actually reaches us and is primarily responsible for sunburn and skin cancer. So class, eto, meron tayong table of information for the short wave, long wave na A, B, and C. So, ang nakakarating sa Earth's surface na, of course, very dangerous ay ang UVB. Okay? So, it's useful to know na ito pala class ang different categories ng UV rays. Kasi, in general, di ba, inaalang sa sinasabi natin UV. Pero meron pa palang iba't ibang portions. Alright? So, yan class ang ating fun fact, ang ating did you know on the UV visible region. Now, class, don't panic sa figure na to ha. So gusto na natin i-explain ano nangyayari sa mga substances when they absorb UV light. So when a substance absorb UV light, their electrons get excited to a higher energy level. Tandaan nyo, from ground to excited state. And itong energy na to will be typically released by emitting light. So pwede ito fluorescence or phosphorescence, releasing heat, which is of course non-radioactive decay, triggering a chemical reaction tulad glass ng bond breaking. So makakamit kayo actually sa OrgChem ng reaction sa hydrocarbons where need glass ng light para makapag-break ng bond. O, diba? So I hope guys, may maalala kayo sa mga iba ng subjects here sa spectro. So this process is key in UV spectroscopy, fluorescent materials, and even DNA damage from sun exposure. O, ayan ha. So, absorption of UV light class ito, in-emphasize natin. Alright, so UV spectroscopy is a powerful and widely used technique that measures light absorption in the UV invisible regions of the spectrum. So, class, very clear sa atin kung gaano ka-useful itong UV vis. So, we already talk about what happens kapag nakaka-absorb ng light ang substances. Now, let's talk about the instruments that are used to measure the absorption of substances ng UV visible light. So, class, ang i-emphasize natin here in our crash course ay yung dalawang nangunguna, single beam and double beam spectrophotometer. Itong tunable diode laser absorption spectro. Kindly read na lang muna guys sa manual ninyo kasi very prominent itong single beam and double beam. Okay, so highlight ko lang class yung single beam kasi ito yung mas common. For sure, halos lahat kayo ito ang experience. Though for sure, meron din konti sa inyo. Some of you have also experienced this class of double beam. Okay, game, let's describe, let's enumerate their applications, advantages, disadvantages. Single beam measures the absorbance by comparing the intensity of light before and after passing through the sample. Kaya class, kailangan may reference, may blank kayo, okay, before each sample. Why? Only one beam of light is used, hence the term single beam. So, ang common application class ito for routine analysis of samples. And of course, very simple, very straightforward na class ang key components ng single beam instrument. Medyo tedious, lalo na class kung marami kayong sample because this will require a reference scan for each measurement. Okay? And then, ang double beam, kaya siya double beam, this uses two beams of light, one directed through the sample and the other through a reference or mas kilala sa tawag na blank to simultaneously measure absorbance and compensate for fluctuations in the source. So, mamit mukha po mas accurate yung double beam, ano? Yes. Okay? Yun nga lang, asahan natin, more complex and expensive than the single beam system. So, meron ba kayong video to demonstrate the two? Of course, meron para class clear sa atin yung kanilang difference. Okay? So, ito class, ang straightforward na connection ng mga parts ng mga components in a single beam instrument. So let's just reiterate. Ito ay ginagamit for routine analysis. Very simple ang design. Yun nga lang, paulit-ulit ka pag magkakaroon ng reference scan. So kailangan ba memoryado namin to? Yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng components? Yes. You will really understand the mechanism of how the instrument works if you know the sequence of the components. Lalo na class noon, nag-start tayo ng chrome at ngayon sa spectro, may pattern. Okay, dapat alamin yung class yung linear sequence or arrangement ng mga components. Not only that, syempre class, ang kanilang functions. Okay, don't ever forget. Now, ito naman ang double beam. So, nakwento na natin. Ayan. Kitang-kita nyo guys here, nasa split. So, class ng double beam, meron yung special optic system, okay, of various parts so that there will be two beams, okay? And ito class is simultaneous ha, ang passing through ng light sa sample and reference. Kaya nga, ito ay more accurate. It can compensate for any fluctuation inside your instrument. Yun nga lang, mas bulky ang equipment for most cases. And ito class, syempre, more expensive than single beam. So, I remember from my undergrad guys, ano muna, single beam. Tapos later on, double beam, lumaki. So, kitang-kita namin yung biglang paglaki difference ng size, no, ng single beam at ng double beam instrument. Okay? So ito na nga class, dumating na tayo sa portion ng instrumentation para mas clear sa inyo before tayo mag-review no, ng different parts na nakalist na rin sa manuals ninyo. Everyone, let's watch this.
Here's how a spectrophotometer works. A lamp provides the source of light. The beam of light strikes the diffraction grating, which works like a prism and separates the light into its component wavelengths. The grating is rotated so that only a specific wavelength of light reaches the exit slit. Then the light interacts with the sample. From this point, the detector measures the transmittance and absorbance of the sample. Transmittance refers to the amount of light that passes completely through the sample and strikes the detector. Absorbance is a measurement of light that is absorbed by the sample. The detector senses the light being transmitted through the sample and converts this information into a digital display.
Alright. So guys, actually, yung ganong type of instrument, yun yung medyo luma na, medyo ancient na. Actually, minagamit pa nga kami, we call it Spectronic 20. Medyo similar doon, pero mas luma pa. So, ma'am, yung mga knobs talaga, legit kayo mag-iikot, yes. So, meron siyang wavelength knob, okay, meron siyang zero knob. So, kayo talaga guys, mano-mano, okay, manual ang operation niya. But, mas natutunan namin, mas nag-gets namin class kung paano nag-work ang bawat component. So, kahit na class hindi na kayo nakagamit, no, tulad namin noon ng ganito kalumang instrument, meron naman tayong mga videos here, meron tayong mga summaries here ng bawat component para maunawaan nyo rin sila. Alright, so kasi ito ang ating drawing ng block diagram ng instrumentation ng single beam. So we will discuss each part class. We have the light source, wavelength selector, the sample compartment, detector, and signal processor. So class, one by one, kailangan makapag-enumerate tayo ng mga konting examples para mas makarelate tayo. Light source, this provides the energy required for the absorption measurement. In general class, ang tawag talaga sa pumipili, no, nag-choose nag-isolate ng narrow bandwidth ay wavelength selector. Baka kasi ang familiar na kayo, monochromator, yun yung modern. So this selects a specific wavelength of light to pass through the sample. Sample compartment, this securely holds the sample and ensures alignment with the light beam. So mamaya, may pag-uusapan tayo kung ano yung nilalagay inside the sample compartment detector. This detects the intensity of transmitted light after it passes through the sample. Di ba class? Sa video kanina, may binanggit siya na term na absorbance and transmittance. May math involved doon. And may law na kailangan tayong i-recall. Reference cell, of course, this is for your double beam, computer and data processor for our digital and more advanced instruments. Okay? Start tayo class sa light source or ang lamp. So madaming types guys ng light source. So we have hydrogen lamp, deuterium lamp. These two are used for UV. Okay, for UV analysis sila. So as you can see guys, yung wavelength nila, no, ito ay shorter pa than the visible region. Mercury lamp, ito klase ginagamit for excitation. Meron din palang dalawang types, no, continuum and line. Yes. Alright, so ba't naka-highlight po yung tungsten halogen lamp? Kasi ito ay common to class for visible and near IR region. So malawak yung sakop class ng tungsten halogen lamp. Isa itong continuum source na ang range ay from 320 or around 320 to more than 1,000 nanometers. O di ba pasok nga ang visible and ang near IR. Then we also have xenon arc lamp, LEDs, laser. O naka-highlight yung laser kasi specific, o kita nyo, specific yung wavelength. And then plus, highly monochromatic. Okay, so yan ang mga bongga nating light sources. Syempre, may did you know tayo. Class, do you remember pa ba kung anong metal sa periodic table tong W? Ano game? Ito class ang tungsten. Did you know guys, yung mga light nga natin sa household natin class or sa mga buildings, tungsten powered yung mga yan. And here, very important sila class here sa spectrum. Did you know that tungsten has the highest melting point of all metals over 3,400 degrees Celsius? Kaya ito ay very perfect for light sources that need to burn hot without melting. O diba? Minsan class yung ilaw ninyo, buong araw nakabuhay yan, diba? Naka-on yan. So umiinit din yan. When heated, tungsten emits a broad spectrum of visible and near IR light. This makes it ideal for continuous spectrum sources in UV-Vis and near IR spectro. O ha? So yun pala yun ma'am. Kaya pala narinig namin yung term na tungsten filament. Yun yung nasa loob class ng mga common na light sources natin. Hindi lang sa mga light sources ninyo, pati rin class sa light sources here in spectroscopy. Tungsten ang ginagamit na metal. Okay? Kasi nga perfect siya. Okay? Ito ay pwedeng tuloy-tuloy class na mag-burn hot without melting. Sa taas ng melting point ba naman niya. Alright? So, ang galing, diba? Very fun fact talaga to about our light source na tungsten lamp. Okay? Ayan. O, see? Class, kailangan ko kayo i-remind pala na pati to, meron na akong clue agad sa inyo ha. Pati itong anatomy. Itong parts ng tungsten filament lamp, medyo try nyo na rin tandaan. Okay? Hindi ko nababasahin. Ayun, nakikita nyo naman sa slide. Ayan guys. Kasi baka may mag-appear na question dito. In fact, parang nailagay ko na ata sa materials natin. Yung question on the ports of the lamp. Okay? So there you go, guys. Next, second component tayo, wavelength selector. They are essential for isolating a specific wavelength of light from a broad spectrum source. This allows the instrument to measure absorbance or transmittance accurately at a desired wavelength. So here, class, ang modern version, ang monochromator. So this works by using prisms or diffraction gratings to disperse light. Paano nga sa video clip kanina, may grating kayong nakita, right? So ang wavelength, very broad, UV, visible, near IR. And maganda class ang resolution kasi nakakarating to ng nanometer level. Okay? Then we also have the less common na ngayon. Doon nakakita ko guys ito ng mga filters kasi nga 'di ba kwento ko kanina, yung ginagamit namin before sa lab ay yung lumang version. Okay? Kaya ayan, nakakita na ako ng paggamit ng filters. Then we also have gratings and prisms. Okay? So nowadays, since most instruments that we use are highly modern na talaga, digitized, monochromator guys ginagamit na wavelength selector. Okay? Next, ayan ang bonggang sample compartment. Class, inside our sample compartment, this houses the cuvette. I hope you remember, sa lab bridging natin, meron tayong mga French words doon. We have burette, pipette, cuvette. Okay? So, cuvette, guys, ito ay small tube-like container with straight sides in either a circular or square cross-section. Meron tayong mga video clip later class kasi lagi talaga may question on the cuvette. So, meron tayo here na standard quartz and meron tayong optical glass. Ito rin yung class yung nasa manual ninyo. May-mention na po yung 10 mm. Yun yung path length. Okay? Ng standard na path length. So, here are the different materials our cuvettes are made of. So there's clear silica, which is UV grade quartz. Ito class ang may highest na purity among the following materials, followed by quartz standard. So ito yan yung nasa first na cuvette na picture guys natin. Slightly lower lang ang purity niya than pure silica. And for general, UV-Vis use naman to. For sure, karamihan sa inyo class nakakita na nakagamit na ng standard na quartz cuvette. Then we also have optical glass, used for visible region, inexpensive and commonly used in basic applications. As mga normal na classes natin, for sure, nakagamit na class tayo ng optical glass. Ito siya, oh yan. And then we also have plastic. So guys, ang plastic, ito ay disposable, used for visible light applications and educational or routine lab settings. Alright? So yun ang mga common na cuvette materials natin. So class, punta tayo sa ating special portion on cuvette 101. So take note guys na ang standard path length, 10 millimeters. In our calculations later, i-convert natin yun guys to centimeter. So ma'am, 1 centimeter, di ba? Yes. Meron pa rin naman class ibang cuvette. Like here at the right, we have a 5 millimeter path length na cuvette. So, di ba? Ang dami pa pala nila ma'am. Yes. It depends guys no, kung ano yung cuvette na meron no or applicable dun sa instrument design ninyo. And then, so ayan na nga, ang path length niya, B yan. Ma'am, ano yung B? Symbol yan later mamaya class sa equation natin. Okay? And then last, please note, hindi dapat punong-puno. Hindi pwedeng 100% yung cuvette content ninyo kasi may chance na mag-spill. At kapag nag-spill na, magiging troublesome pa yan. Okay? So please do not ever commit a mistake na completely failed the 100% to the rim, no, yung inyong cuvette. So, according na sa isang site na nakita ko, 80% full volume ang kanilang suggestion. O, tinan nyo class, iba-iba rin kasi ang volume capacity. So, ang common, no, kapag 10 mm yung path length, so ito siya guys, 3.5 ml, assuming na 80% lang yung laman. Then we also have some micro, semi-micro, and standard macro na mga sizes. Okay? O, pati glass cover, yung lid, o meron tayong Teflon, silicone, Teflon stopper, and Teflon screw cap. Okay? So, kung ang cover, iba-iba, meron din iba't ibang bottom. So for sure, nakita nyo guys ay yung square, no? Yung straight lang yung kanyang bottom. Meron din class round bottom at meron din flat bottom. So of course, depende na yan kung saan kayo bibili class at kung ano yung purpose din ng mga iba't ibang sizes, iba't ibang cover at bottom na trip nyo for your cuvettes. Alright, so guys, we now move on sa mga video clips natin for our burette. So here we have our handling. Kasi class, kailangan marunong tayo. Paano kung may troubleshooting or scenario na question sa board? So class, let's watch this. Alright, o yan guys importance of handling your cuvettes properly. And we also have a brief video clip on inspection. Okay, so ayan guys, ang ating Cuvette 101. Next, ito class I forgot na i-include to sa notes. I hope it's okay. Nandito siya sa slides at sa crash course video natin. So the fourth component, recap muna bago tayo mag-detector. So you already know the light source, the lamp, followed by the wavelength selector, and the sample compartment, which contains the Cuvette. And now, nasa detector na tayo class. Detectors convert transmitted light into an electrical signal that corresponds to absorbance or transmittance. Okay, let's backtrack a little. So class ng substance ninyo, nagko-contain ito ng absorbing na analyte. So, ang analyte nag-absorb ng light and the remainder will be transmitted. So, yung amount class ng transmitted light is now passing through your detector. The detector, of course, detects how much kaya itong transmitted light kasi ang transmittance and absorbance related by a mathematical equation. So, class, ito mga examples ng mga detectors. O ma'am, bakit naka-highlight po ang PMT? Because this is the most common. So, photo multiplier tube or PMT is the common type of detector used class sa mga common instruments natin. So, ang kanyang sensitivity, very high, speed, moderate, spectral range, narrow to wide, and again, high sensitivity measurements. So, ma'am, reading homework again? Yes. So, class, yan ang mga examples ng detectors that are used in our spectroscopic instruments. Okay? So, ayan, nakompleto na class natin ang mga parts, ang mga key parts ng instrument. Now, ready na kayo dapat to appreciate ang mga digital or modern instruments natin. O diba? Very timely na nakita nyo na per part and then yung mga concepts, yung mga examples, ngayon buuin na natin. Full circle moment. Buuin na natin guys ang single beam spectrophotometer. Then later, para meron din kayong kaalaman sa double beam spectrophotometer. Let's watch this.
Are you looking for a spectrophotometer that's built to last even in the toughest laboratory environment? Discover the Thermo Scientific Genesis 30 spectrophotometer, the only unit that delivers the quality and accuracy of a top-of-the-line instrument at an entry-level price. The Genesis 30 features sturdy lab-tough construction that stands up to the demands of a real working lab. Plus, it's designed for the way technicians actually work, with an oversized sample compartment that makes access easy and cleanup effortless. Use the Genesis 30 with cuvettes or test tubes. Our optional test tube holder includes a depth gauge for easy and accurate fluid measuring, and can handle test tubes up to 150 millimeters with an available tall test tube cover to ensure testing accuracy. Our heavy-duty rubberized keyboard delivers at-a-glance simplicity, and our high-resolution screen is bright, crisp, and easy to read. The built-in Smart Start feature gives you instant access to your favorite methods. 6-point quant sampling means improved data accuracy. For labs that need to scan, Genesis 30 delivers fast, accurate data for peaks up to 3A. Plus, Genesis 30 makes it easy to report your data. Save a data file to a USB memory stick or print it on the optional Snap-on printer. Don't settle for less. Choose the spectrophotometer that delivers more, the Genesis 30.
Ano pa class ang cool ng single beam spectrophotometer na nasa video, may lumalabas class na result na napiprint agad. So nakita niyo guys yung mga parts, no? Very, very useful yung lesson kanina. Now, here in the next video, let's watch naman class a double beam spectrophotometer. Nakita nyo, dalawa yung compartment, one for the sample and one for the reference. Diba nga, nasi-split yung beam, kaya double beam spectrophotometer. So simultaneous class again, ang measurement because you have both your reference, your sample cells. Alright, so there you go guys. Now we reach the part na may calculation na. Ito class ang Beer's Law. So for the applications of UV-Vis, we will now discuss Beer's Law. So class, take a look at this drawing, yung nasa manual nyo rin. Ano po yung I? I stands for intensity. In other books, power. Ito yung intensity or power of light. So ito class, nung nasa dark yellow na era, okay, itong dark yellow na region, yun class ang I, no. So this is your initial or incident light. And then I is the transmitted light. So ma'am, yung absorbing species natin nag-absorb ng light, no? Yes. So kaya class, ito ang relationship. So absorbance is equal to negative log of T. Negative log of transmittance. Also, T is equal class sa ratio ng transmitted light over the incident light. So always remember na ito class ang relationship ng absorbance and transmittance. Ma'am, for example, kung mataas ang naging absorbance ng ating absorbing species, does it mean na lower, mababa ang maging transmittance niya? Yes. So merong inverse na relationship guys, ang absorbance and transmittance. And then, ito yung sinasabi nila class na A, B, C, though here, Greek letter ang ginamit natin in place of A. A kasi is our absorptivity. But here, we are using epsilon, molar absorptivity. So may kinalaman to class sa units. So molar absorptivity times path length times concentration, they are equal class sa A, absorbance. So big A. Okay, paano kayo malito ha? Big A class ang absorbance. Ma'am, ano po yung molar absorptivity? Class property ito ng analyte. So we have a separate slide to fully explain molar absorptivity na ang unit ay liter per mole centimeter. Or pwede rin siyang molar inverse, centimeter inverse. Path length, ito yung nasa Kivet 101 guys kanina, na ang standard na path length, no, 10 mm equal to 1 cm. Of course, meron pang ibang path lengths. So, kanina yung variety ng mga kivets, look at the problem. Tinan yung given, kung ano yung given na path length. And then concentration, molar, mole per liter. Alright? So, class, tandaan niyo yung relationship ng absorbance and transmittance at syempre, ang relationship din class ng concentration sa absorbance na directly proportional. Kaya most of the time, we express signal as absorbance. Kasi dito class, directly proportional ang analyte natin. So, analyte concentration is directly proportional to the absorbance. If you have more absorbing species, then you have higher absorbance, unlike sa transmittance. So, diba? Kasi negative log of T ang formula class ng absorbance. Yay! I hope we're clear class dito sa Beer's Law. Okay? So, meron tayong problem. Para syempre, ma-reinforce natin guys sa inyo. So, everybody, nasa manual din to. A solution of an analyte with C of 5 times 10 to the negative 4 molar is placed in a cell that has a path length of 1 centimeter. At 490 nanometers, the solution has an absorbance of 0.338. Calculate the molar absorptivity. So, ito class ng epsilon at this wavelength. So, again, property ito class ng analyte at a particular wavelength. So, here's our equation. Syempre, isolate ang epsilon, A, absorbance over BC. Oh, ang bilis. So, 0.338 over 1 centimeter times 5 times 10 to the negative 4 mole per liter, which gives us 676 inverse molar and inverse centimeter. Yon ang molar absorptivity. So class, ngayon ang perfect time na i-define natin ito. So take note, this is a measure of how strongly an analyte absorbs light at a specific wavelength. So tama, ito nga ay property ng analyte. So different analytes have different molar absorptivities. At a specific wavelength, a high absorptivity means the analyte absorbs strongly. That will result in higher absorbance even at low concentration. So, diba, ganyan kahalaga class ang property na tinatawag natin ng molar absorptivity ng mga analytes. Another class na kailangan familiar kayo, and for sure, familiar na ang marami sa inyo, ang lambda max. O diba, lambda is our Greek letter for wavelength. Ito class ang wavelength at which a substance shows maximum absorbance in UV-Vis. So, katulad kasi nasa picture na to, ay no, may peak. O diba, ito yung kanyang lambda max. So, for this analyte, 560 nanometers. It represents the point where light absorption is strongest, usually corresponding to an electron transition. When we measure the lambda max, this ensures high sensitivity and accuracy when analyzing concentration. Kaya class, ang ginagamit natin whenever we perform calibration curves, absorbance at lambda max. So dito kasi highest ang sensitivity and accuracy when analyzing concentration. Bawat compound class merong kanya-kanya, merong unique na lambda max. This is useful for identification and method development. I hope naalala nyo class ha. So for example, kung yung compound nyo class bago, for example, hindi pa siya na-establish. So one way class to check kung paano ka gagawa ng calibration curve is to find first ang kanyang lambda max. Ma'am, di ba pwede na maggawa kami ng calibration curve kahit sa ang wavelength na lang? Given any wavelength na lang, ma'am, hindi class. Kailangan nagme-measure kayo at the lambda max. So mag-absorb spectrum muna kayo. So kailangan nyo munang mahanap ano yung particular wavelength na pinaka mataas. Kasi dito pinaka-sensitive ang magiging analysis natin. Okay? So kapag nasa visible region na katulad kasi ito, color dissolution, so ang magiging lambda max nyo ay nasa pagitan ng 400 to 700. Okay? So kapag organic compound naman yan, nasa UV region. O diba? Shorter than 400 nanometers. Okay? So I hope class naalala nyo to. Itong lambda max. Alright? So let's now solve the second problem in your manual. So given class given yung preparation ng complex. Sana class, naalala nyo to ha. Ito ang very popular iron 3 with thiocyanate reaction to form the blood red complex iron thiocyanate. So given na rin ang kanyang epsilon, ang kanyang absorptivity, ang tanong, what is the absorbance? So A ang hinahanap of the resulting solution at 580 nanometers when path length B is equal to 2.5 centimeter. So class, as you can see in the reaction, 1 is to 1. 1 mole of the complex is also equal to 1 mole of iron. So let's just transform our given na naka milligram per liter, i-transform na class natin yan to molar kasi yung kailangan natin na unit. Ayan ang iron class. So 55.85 ang kanyang molar mass. Huwag mag-alala. Pwede nyo naman gawin to class on your own para i-prove na yan nga ang makikita nyo na molar concentration. And then, recalling the equation A is equal to absorptivity times path length times concentration. Ayan na. So class, ito ang path length, absorptivity, this one, and ito na ang concentration. Ayan, nag-cancel lahat, ma'am. Kaya pala ang absorbance, walang unit. So the correct answer here, 0.1. So yun ang absorbance ng iron thiocyanate complex. O, di ba? Madali lang. A is equal to absorptivity times path length times concentration. So kahit may reaction involved here, 1 is to 1 na naman, class, ang naging relationship. Okay. So now, class, meron akong i-request na dapat marunong kayo mag-plot. Okay, so class in your calculator, hahanapin ninyo ang linear regression where ipa-plot ninyo ang concentration, x-axis, and absorbance in the y-axis. Okay, ha? The concentration of iron in an industrial waste stream is determined using the orthophenanthroid spectrophotometric method. Ito class is specific for iron. A sample from the stream exhibits an absorbance of 0.269. Using the provided calibration data, calculate the iron concentration in ppm. Ito class ang complexation ng iron with 110 phenanthroline. Ito ang color ng mga solutions. O kunwari ito yung mga standards natin na orange. No, may gradient, kita nyo kasi from lowest to highest in concentration. At kunwari class, ito ang ating sample. Okay, so aalamin natin ang kanyang concentration based sa calibration data. So everybody, plot X, iron. Ito ang standard sa ating class. So milligram iron per liter, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And absorbance. Ito class ang signal. Ito ang nasa Y. So please hanapin yung class in your calculator ang linear regression. So plot all X's, plot all Y's. Make sure that you carefully input your values sa calculator ninyo. Class, you may pause this video so that you can do your thing first, plot first, before kayo mag-move sa next slide. Okay? Kunwari, nag-pause na kayo. Kunwari guys, nag-pause na kayo and play again. So everyone, here's our concentration C sa x-axis and absorbance Y. So ayan, nakapag-plot na si ma'am. O, diba? Galing guys sa book ni Harvey to. And ang goal nyo class is to get the equation of the line. Ma'am, kapag line po ba, ang linearity coefficient or correlation coefficient dapat near 1, diba? Yes. Dapat malapit na malapit sa 1. Yung tipong 0.9999, yon. Linear yon. So class, if you get the slope is equal to 0.1817, y-intercept 0.0006. Actually class, dapat nga walang y-intercept. Pag walang analyte, dapat wala ring absorbance. Kaya dapat sobrang small lang nito. So class, here's our equation of the line. Remember, y is equal to mx plus b. So here, ang ating slope, nakuha na, y-intercept. Paano kukunin po ang concentration? Madali na class, find x given the y. Diba? Merong absorbance from the problem. Yun yung absorbance ng sample. Which are you telling us mag-interpolation tayo? Yes. So hahanapin natin yung absorbance corresponding, ay yung concentration corresponding sa given na absorbance. So ito na nga, 0.269. So mga banda rito class, so i-interpolate lang natin yan. Siyempre, pag ginagawa ko, graphical lang to. So parang pakiramdam ko nasa pagitan ng 1 and 2 yung magiging answer. Yes. So class, you can also do it mathematically, or kung si class may shortcut sa calculator, hanapin nyo. So press 0.269 and then the corresponding x value niya, x hot, hanapin nyo na sa calculator yan. So you can also do here, you can also do this itong ginagawa nating substitution ng values. So find x given that y is 0.269. Ready na ba? Ang answer class ay 1.48. O tama, nasa pagitan nga ng 1 and 2. 1.48 milligram iron per liter of your sample. Alright? So ito sa tinatawag na interpolation. So meron tayong calibration curve, meron ang standard solution. So in this case, meron tayong 5 standard solutions and ini-interpolate natin within the graph. Ano kaya ang possible concentration ng sample given na ang nakuhang absorbance ay 0.269. Ganun. So mga sa board exam, pwede magpa-plot, pwede. May possibility. Kaya may practice problem tayo na ganito. Okay? So class, now that we have seen paano mag-solve na problems using Beer's law, I need to be honest with you, ang Beer's Law, may kanya-kanyang pros and cons yan. So, klase sa manual ninyo ang kanyang advantages and limitations as well. So, nakita niyo na sa advantages sa linear relationship between absorbance and concentration, non-destructive to the sample, accurate and precise for quantitation, applicable to many substances, fast and cost-effective. Ngunit, may mga limitation. Class, nagkakaroon na ng deviation from linearity at high concentration dahil nagkakaroon ng mga molecular interaction, polymerization, etc. Kaya dapat dilute ang solution. So, pag colored yan, halata mo, ay ma'am, very colored yung solution ko, dilute. And then, inote mo na lang ano yung ginawa mong dilution so that you can multiply your final answer with the dilution factor. Another limitation, sensitive to stray light and instrumental issues. Another, monochromatic light lang dapat. Another, not suitable if the analyte undergoes chemical changes. Hala, yung analyte nag-undergo na reaction, hindi pwede. At class, dapat clear ang solutions. So turbid and colored samples can scatter light leading to inaccurate readings. Ayan. So meron palang mga bonggang limitations guys ang Beer's Law. So please take note of this. Now, class, we're done with the first part ng intro part nitong spectral lesson natin. So, before tayo mag-move on, class, sa second half, let's have our activity. Diba? Sa CHRO, half and chroma. Ngayon, class, what happened spectra? Identify the term, concept, or part ng instrument that is being described. Okay, game, ha? So, class, let's start. So, identify the following terms. This component of a UV-Vis instrument isolates a single wavelength of light for analysis. So, alin sa mga components na yon? Siyempre, ang wavelength selector, or in modern instruments, monochromator. Next, this light source is commonly used for visible to near IR measurements in UV-Vis. Plus, in-explain natin ito kanina, ito ang tungsten halogen lamp. Next, this type of cuvette material is best suited for high-precision UV work due to its high purity and broad wavelength range. Ito yung nasa top ng table kanina, fused silica or UV-grade quartz. This type of UV-Vis instrument compares light intensity through a sample and a reference at the same time. Alam na, ito ang double beam. And then, this law relates absorbance to concentration and path length in UV-Vis spectroscopy. Alam na rin class, kakadiscuss lang, Beer's Law. Yay! O, diba? So, I hope guys, this sums up or wraps up our first half of the lesson. So now, we will move on class. Mas maikli ba yun, ma'am, ng konti? Kasi sa board exam, mahalaga din to eh. Ang IR, NMR, and mass spec. You need to know what info can we get. Anong valuable info ba akala i-provide sa atin ng mga spectrum methods na ito. And then last part natin ang atomic spectroscopy game. So class, ito ang apat na i-compare natin. I remember guys, sa university namin, nung student pa ako, meron kaming organic chemistry course. O diba, organic pa talaga. Kung saan, inaaral namin talaga very detailed itong mga to. Naalala ko una talaga namin UV-Vis, followed by IR, NMR, mass spec. Ganito yung sequence, yung buong semester namin, spectroscopy lang yung lesson namin. So, if I'm not mistaken, yung title ng course namin ay organic spectroscopy. So, I think meron pa rin naman ganitong subject no sa university namin. So, anyway guys, akalin din natin, i-summarize din natin ha, itong apat na very important na spectral methods for UV-Vis na katatapos lang. Type of radiation, of course, UV-Vis. Analyze property, electronic transitions. Information obtained, conjugation, concentration, kung may chromophores. So, visible region, nag-absorb. Quantitative use, yes, kakagamit lang class ng Beer's Law, moderate sensitivity, and non-destructive. O, diba? Very good summary ng inakal natin recently for UV-Vis. For IR, which we have here in our second half. So, of course, infrared, yung portion ng infrared after the red light. And then, molecular vibrations. Kaya nga cool ito eh. Very cool itong IR. And then, ang info na dapat alam nyo makukuha dito ay mga functional groups. Bakit, ma'am? Kasi class, different atoms. Okay, magkaibang atom sa bond. Magkaiba class ng magiging energy, ng wavelength, ng frequency, ang kanilang corresponding vibrational modes. And then, bond types. So kapag tinanong kayo ha, kung anong method ng spectro, ang para sa functional group at bond types, alam na, IR yan. Lagi yan lumalabas. Tandaan yan, class. Yun nga lang, limited ang quantitative use. And then, like UV-Vis, moderate sensitivity, and also non-destructive. NMR, naku makapangyarihan itong dalawang to class. NMR uses RF. Baka nakarinig yung class ng RF before ha, radio frequency ang ibig sabihin nun. So here, nuclear spin states are analyzed in a magnetic field. Don't worry guys, hindi naman tayo sobrang magtatagal sa mga yung methods na to. No? Kaya nga napansin siguro, yung very powerful na UV-Vis ang inuna natin kanina, ang hinimay-himay natin. Kasi it will be very, very tedious, very, very long na yung lesson natin if ihihimayin pa natin ang IR, NMR, mass spec. So we will only look at the key lessons, the key parts. Okay, that are always coming out in the board exam sa kanila. So huwag kayo masyado matakot. Okay? So balik tayo sa NMR, info obtained, molecular structure. In fact, malalaman mo talaga yung connectivity ng atoms if you have both H1, hydrogen, and carbon-13 NMR. Use sometimes quantitative sensitivity between low to moderate, also non-destructive. Mass spec lang class ang destructive dito kasi mag-undergo ng fragmentation yung buong molecule ninyo. Mako-convert yun sa mga ions. So, ang type of radiation here ay beam of electrons. Analyze property ang M/Z, mass to charge ratio ng mga ionized species. Info obtained, syempre, nasa pangalan niya na, mass spec, molecular weight, and the fragmentation pattern. Kasi magkakaibang groups, magkakaiba ang fragmentation pattern. Quantitative use, yes. Kasi nga, malalaman natin ang molar mass, pati class ang isotope ratios. Sensitivity, high. Iwan. So, class ha, reading homework ninyo, ang comparison ng apat na methods na to. So, now, meron tayo class video clip here ng IR. Ikakat ko lang siya ha, kasi mahaba. It will really consume our our entire time. After all class, clickable naman yung link. Okay? Pwede nyo naman itong i-click once na meron na kayong copy ng slides. And also, kaya-kaya kong i-send, okay, ang mga links na ginamit ko, no, mga YouTube videos na ginamit ko in our crash courses. I will also provide it, pin it in our group chat.
We're going to talk about FTIR analysis. FTIR analysis is Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy.
Plus, kinat ka na ha, baka antokin kayo. So please watch na lang the YouTube videos at your own convenience. So we are here at IR na class. IR spectroscopy provides information about the types of bonds and functional groups present in a molecule. In-emphasize ka lang. So class, here is the instrumentation portion. Wow, ang ganda mama. O diba mas compact to compared sa video kanina. Yung nasa video medyo may kalumaan na kasi yung class. So here is a benchtop version of an IR spectrometer. And here class, at the right side, ang kanyang components. Don't worry, hindi ko in-expect na memoryahin nyo to. So para lang ma-appreciate nyo na ay medyo similar na konti doon sa general na UV-Vis block diagram plus na ginamit natin kanina. Of course, may mga differences to suit the needs of the IR instrument. Okay? So sa mga meron ng experience, may karanasan na sa paggamit or pag-analyze or pag-interpret, okay, ng IR spectro class, very good. Gamitin nyo ang kaalaman nyo na yan para sa lesson natin. O ngayon, what happens kapag nakaka-absorb ng IR radiation class ang mga substances? Absorption of IR radiation induces changes in the vibrational energy levels of a molecule, leading to specific vibrational motions tulad ng stretching and bending of bonds of class. Baka bigla niyong gayahin ha. Ito ang water. So H2O, ito ang kanang symmetric stretching, anti-symmetric stretching, and bending. O kayo, class, kung wala kayong magawa, perform niyo ang mga vibrational motions ng mga molecule. Meron pa akong ibang example. O, diba? So yung pag-on-site na section, tuwan-tuwa sila guys dito. Kasi ang cool ng mga vibrational motions ng mga molecules natin. Yan pala ginagawa ng molecule when they absorb IR radiation. Now, class, let's also learn how to interpret IR spectra. So here we have transmittance, percent transmittance versus wave number. Mama, ano yun? Di ba wavelength lang yung meron tayo kanina? Class, dahil ang wavelength ay inversely proportional sa energy at sa frequency, mahirap mag-compare. Kaya wave number ang ginagamit here sa IR. So wave number is the reciprocal of wavelength para maging directly proportional class sa energy. Okay? So hahatiin natin class into two regions ang IR spectra. So meron tayong functional group region and yung useful. Okay, dito may patterns. Bawat bonds, no, bawat type of bond, may kanya-kanya silang characteristic na IR absorption. Here at the right side naman, ang fingerprint region. Okay? So I hope clear tayo class. So sa fingerprint region, parang fingerprint pa yan, unique. Exactly. Kaya unique yan for each spectrum. Kaya wala ito masyadong usefulness. Kasi ang hirap pag-establish ng pattern kung magkakaiba sila. Diba? So focus tayo from 4,000 to around 1,500 in per centimeter. We call this the functional group region. O sa mga naninibago, percent transmittance. So kaya napansin nyo, yung absorption ng class, ay strong. So strong ito kapag medyo malapit sa zero ang percent transmittance. Doon kasi mataas ang absorbance. O, diba? Parang naninibago kayo na iba yung itsura na doon sa graph natin kanina, doon sa lambda max. Okay? Kasi nga ito, percent transmittance versus wave number. Alright? So in your manual, meron tayo ganitong list. So nandito class yung mga useful na ranges. O, for example, yung lighter atoms, magagaan. Siyempre hydrogen. Pag nakabond sa hydrogen, carbon-hydrogen, ito ay karaniwan naman nakikita sa mga organic compounds. Ngunit, itong OH at NH, very useful kasi limited lang yung groups na meron ganyang bond. OH, alcohol, phenol, carboxylic acid. And then NH, amine, tsaka amide, no, diba? So limited lang. So madali nyo agad malalaman probably ano yung compound ninyo. For triple bonds naman class, stronger bonds, syempre, no? And higher frequency. So nasa pagitan sila class ng 2,500 to 2,000 in per centimeter. And then class, sa board exam, lagi lumalabas, no? Itong carbonyl, C double bond O. Meron tayong example para ma-appreciate nyo. So ang double bonds, 2,000 to 1,500 ang kanilang absorption. Single bonds, hindi ganun ka-useful dahil nasa fingerprint region na. Ito class, ang ginamit ko na IR spectrum in your manual. Ma'am, ano pong meron dyan? Yun, let's analyze. O dito class, sa mataas na wave number, meron tayong strong. Paano malalaman kung strong? Actually, strong kapag nasa bandang baba. Ito nga, nasa parang medium na nga to eh. Strong to medium or strong to moderate na to kasi nasa bandang gitna na siya. Broad. O, class, ang tip ko sa inyo, strong broad. Pwede na rin medium tulad nito. OH. Okay, yan ang characteristic ng OH na IR absorption. Tapos class, itandem nyo pa dito, strong to. So 2,000, 19, 18, 17. Okay, class, characteristic yan ng mga compounds na may C double bond to. Wala, kailangan pa lamang alam namin yun, yes. So class, pag katulad ko nung medyo katagal na-immerse sa IR, naaalala, nakakabisado somehow, kahit hindi sinasadya, no, unaware na naaalala yung mga absorptions nila. So let's talk about the two major absorptions here. We have a strong absorption for 1,700, pang-carbonyl yan. So ang mga compounds na pwede aldehyde, ketone, at mga carboxylic acids and derivatives. And then may OH, isipin nyo, may C double bond O ka na, may OH pa. Very likely, ito class ay carboxylic acid. In fact, yung kinuha ko class to, itong IR spectrum na to, acetic acid to. O, ano po yung structure noon? O class, acetic acid, CH3. Ito class, nahirapan ako dito sa aking pad. Yan. So ito class ang CH3COOH. O, diba? May carbonyl na, may C double bond O ka na, meron ka pang OH. So ayan, example at class ng IR spectrum interpretation. Now, to help you To help you, class, remember the important IR absorptions. This is a table from the Book of Smith, one of our organic chem references. So OH, NH, o diba? Strong, broad, NH naman, medium daw. Nagkataon, class, na yung nakita kong sample online, hindi ganun ka-strong ha, yung OH. Pero sabi, class, sa NIST website, yun daw ay acetic acid. And then carbon-carbon triple bond, pang alkyne, carbon-nitrogen triple bond, pang nitrile, carbonyl, na-mention na, itong carbon double bond, pang alkenes, and then benzene. O, diba? So sabi sa inyo, may intensity siya, strong, broad, medium. Alright? So class, you may take this down para you can take note of this. Okay? Para makaalala kayo ng mga important IR absorptions. Yes. So class, now, ito naman tayo sa NMR spectroscopy. Class, ang haba din ng video na to. So, ang requirement ko sa inyo, watch this at your own convenience. Provide ko right away yung mga links. Send ko sa GC, pin natin, para mas madali nyo ma-access. Kasi feeling ko ang haba-haba ng class na kinakwento ko sa inyo, magko-consume pa to ng time. Alright? So, kayo na class ang bahalang mag-watch nito at your own. And, ayan. So, ano makapangyarihan ma-match ng NMR? NMR detects the interaction of atomic nuclei. Usually, we use hydrogen or carbon with a magnetic field. The resulting NMR spectrum reveals detailed information about the number, type, and position of atoms within a molecule. So, here, class, at the left side, ang ating benchtop. Wow, napaka-compact looking naman, ma'am, ng NMR na yan. Yes. There are many, I think naman, may mga universities naman tayo class here, no, locally, na may NMR. Though not all. Okay, medyo may kamahalan. It can cost a fortune, itong NMR spectroscopy. So, ayan, ang kanyang instrument. And then we also have here the components. O, relatively, mas madaling unawain yung block diagram class ng NMR. So, you have your radio frequency RF generator, your sample, na may contact with the magnet, kasi kailangan kasi ng magnetic field, detector and amplifier, display. Ma'am, parang nakaiba yung ano niya, yung spectrum niya. Exactly. So, class, huwag magpanic, hindi kailangan i-memorize to. Gusto ko lang ipakita sa inyo that when you interpret each one, hydrogen NMR spectra, kailangan nyo klasang guide. Okay? So here we have their chemical shifts parts per million, ppm. Okay? So ito class, oh, di ba? Consistent tayo acetic acid. So yung protons ng acetic acid, the hydrogens. So we have readings at 2.1. Ito yung CH3. Okay, ito yung hydrogens ng CH3. At ito naman class, yung maliit na yan, yung hydrogen nitong OH. Right? So ayan class, don't worry, hindi ko i-consume ang maraming time natin here para sa interpretation ng NMR spectroscopy. Ang mahalaga, we know that the connectivity of both carbons, hydrogens, no, mostly, ay malalaman natin here in NMR. Diba? Kaya nga makapangyarihan to. Yung connectivity ng atoms, guys, may establish natin. This is very useful for structure elucidation. Kung ang UV, malalaman kasi natin ang kanyang mga properties like absorption, concentration, chromophores, UVBs. Ang IR naman, functional groups, types of bonds. Here's NMR class connectivity. So nakakatulong talaga to sa structure elucidation. Ganun siya class kabongga. Okay? So now, we move on class sa second to the last part. Excited. Second to the last part ng lesson, ang mass spectrometry. Dahil maikli lang po, let's watch this.
Welcome to subtopic 2.2, the mass spectrometer. The mass spectrometer is a vital instrument in many kinds of chemical analysis. But how does it work? And how do we interpret the data that we get from it? A mass spectrometer works in 5 stages. First, the sample is vaporized. Then it is ionized. Third, it is accelerated. Fourth, it is deflected. And fifth, it is detected. The deflection stage is the heart of the mass spectrometer. When we accelerate an ion, it would like to keep moving in a straight line. This tendency of the particle to move in a straight line, its momentum, is proportional to its mass. However, in a mass spectrometer, we use electromagnets to try to deflect the ions off their path. The amount of force that the ion feels from the electromagnet is proportional to its charge. The path that the ion actually takes is a result of its mass-charge ratio. A different particle with a different mass-charge ratio will take a different path. And this is what we are actually detecting, different mass-charge ratios. So let's analyze the sample. If we vaporize it, and ionize it, accelerate it, deflect it, and then detect it, we can record its mass-charge ratio. If we repeat this with more of the same sample, we will record different size fragments. Eventually, we'll know the proportions of all the different size pieces in our original sample. So how do we interpret mass spectrometer data? Let's consider rubidium for an example.
Okay, class, stop ko na ha, mahaba na siya. So let's recall, mass spectrometry is a technique used to determine the molecular weight and structure of compounds by measuring their mass-to-charge ratio ng mga ionized particles. There are 5 stages to class of the analysis. Let's recall. V, vaporization. I, ionization. A, acceleration. Then yung heart daw class na analysis, deflection. Kasi dito na nga may effect yung mass-to-charge ratio. And detection. Wow, variant. Diba? Para plus maalala nyo ha. Yan ang 5 stages and mass spec analysis. So ma'am, yung mga different fragments na sinasabi kanina, ano po yun? Depende po yun sa compound, yes. So class, meron tayong very simple example. Here, ang mass spectrum ng methane, CH4. So dahil CH4 ito, the molecular weight is 16. So the molecular ion peak, we also call it M peak, nagko-correspond siya class sa 16. So ma'am, kahit unknown pala yung compound, pwede natin malaman, no? Exactly. Ma'am, ano itong M plus 1 peak? Or shortly, describe natin in class. Now, let me focus guys, here sa iba't ibang fragment after before 16. Meron kang 15, 14, 13. Ma'am, saan galing yan? Yan class ang subsequent na removal of hydrogens. Kasi napakasimple lang class ng methane. So wala ka na ibang mga fragment dyan, kundi successive removal ng mga hydrogens. So nananockout sila, thus giving many fragments. So we have CH4, CH3, CH2, CH hanggang maging carbon. Okay, right? So yan class ang lists ng relative abundance ng ng mga peaks here in methane spectrum. So, 16 is also the base peak, meaning ito yung 100% na relative abundance ng mga ions during the analysis. Now, meron tayong did you know? Di ba? Nag-wonder kayo, bakit may M+1 doon? Class, dahil lang sa isotopes. So, napaka-useful ng mass spec sa isotopic ratio. Di ba, class, tandaan nyo, meron tayong lesson on isotopes, di ba? Sa chem bridging natin. So, isotopes are atoms of the same element with different na mass, atomic mass. So, ang carbon 12 at carbon 13, may relative abundance yan. Siyempre, pinaka-abundant ng carbon 12, pero may carbon 13 na 1%. Kaya merong maliit na M+1 peak. Plus 1 kasi carbon 13 siya. Okay, so pag makikita nito class sa mga spectra ng mga organic compounds kasi may carbon yon. Now, meron pa class, meron pang iba, kala nyo carbon lang. M+1 peak lang, meron pa. Dahil nga sa isotopes. For halogenated compounds, ito yung mga alkyl halides natin. The pattern gets even more interesting. Alkyl chlorides show M and M+2 peaks. Bakit M+2? Kasi ang chlorine 35, may isa pang isotope, chlorine 37. At ang ratio class, 3:1. Actually, nasa board exam to. Lagyan ko ng star ha. So nag-appear na ako sa board exam ito tungkol sa alkyl chlorides where notable lang kanilang M+2 peaks. It's hard to miss kasi 3:1 ratio. Well, ang alkyl bromides kasi papahuli. Meron din. Alkyl bromides show M and M+2 peaks in a 1:1 ratio kasi yung bromine 79 and 81 ay almost equal class ng isotope abundance. Mama, example ka? Syempre. O ito class, ito ang chloromethane or methyl chloride. Isa po yung M niya, yun. O diba? Uy, oo nga no, may M+1 at may M+2. So yung maliit na M+1 dahil sa carbon. Pero tayo kasi discuss tayo for chloro, diba? For chlorine na to. So yung M plus M+2, parang 3:1 ang kanilang ratio. So ma'am, proof yan na chlorine containing yung compound, right? For bromine naman class, almost equal, diba? Medyo patawarin na natin yung konting difference kasi almost 1:1 naman class. And this is very notable for compounds containing bromine. Hey, may trivial info na kayong alam ha sa info na pwedeng mabigay ng mass spec with respect to isotopes. Alright, so class, we are now nearing the end of our crash course video on spectrum atomic spectroscopy na. Ma'am, lumalabas pa ito? Yes, kaya class, meron tayong alay na schematic diagram sa inyo. So this again looks like our normal schematic diagram a while ago when you revised. Only that, meron tayong portion class on atomization. And yung lamp natin na specific na dapat HCl, hollow cathode lamp. May portion ng mamaya. So atomic spectroscopy rely on atomization. Bakit? Kasi siya atomic spectroscopy. So the sample must be converted into free atoms in a gaseous state. And then, ayun na naman, may normal components tayo, monochromator, detector, and the display. See? So ma'am, meron na naman kayong fun fact. Yes, ito ay para sa hollow cathode lamp. Bilang ito ay laging lumalabas sa board exam. Did you know? Hollow cathode lamps are the go-to light sources in atomic spectroscopy. Ano composition nila? They are tiny glass tubes filled with neon or argon and contain a methyl cathode made from the element you want to detect. Yung element na i-analyze yung analyte dapat doon. Some even use metal mixtures so one lamp can measure multiple elements. Yun. Mamix, ba't may question mark? Secret. Ayan ha. Ayan class ang composition. Ito ang anatomy ng hollow cathode lamp. And you can see here class, ito ang ating actual. Kung naalala ko class na nasa exam kami, meron kami practical exam how to use the AAS. Natakot ako, nakakatakot kaya yung instrument. Baka mamaya may masira, di ba? So yung hollow cathode lamp, sobrang particular nung instructor namin na kailangan sobrang ingat paghahawakan siya, as much as possible siya na lang daw. And then of course, ayan, para ma-share ko sa inyo, yung pinaka-imagine ko sa inyo class na instrument, syempre, may video tayo. So class, medyo similar dito, yung appearance, yung physical look ng instrument na AAS na ginamit ko when I was still a student. Okay? For those na limited ang kaalaman, limited ang karanasan sa AAS, okay lang. Basta you're willing to learn, open-minded kayo. Everybody, let's watch this.
Hello, so now we're going to cover how to use an atomic absorption spectrometer. So it's a pretty hefty instrument. There's a lot of components behind it, which you won't have to worry about. Your TA will have everything set up for you. So in this section here is your hollow cathode lamp, which provides your wavelength. You can also make sure the wavelength will be set here, but your TA will do that. Inside here, you have your burner, and this is where your premixer and aspirator, where your sample is going to be sucked up to go into the flame. And in here, in this part of the instrument, you have your monochromator, your detector, and your amplifier just to give you a signal. So it all those components allow you to give an absorbance reading here. So those are pretty much the main components. There's a lot of knobs and stuff, but again, you don't have to worry about that for sampling. So just to start up the instrument, give me some oxidized air. Just use a regular sparker. And that's what your flame looks like. You get used to the pump in the background. It's quite warm, so you want to keep the door closed once you have it ignited. You already have all your standards prepared. You want to start off with your zero because you want to zero the machine. So it's really simple. This is just your nozzle. You insert the straw into your sample, and it automatically sucks up your sample, aspirates it into the flame to create atoms. This is how we atomize your sample. And then once your sample is being ingested by the flame, press auto zero to make sure your background is corrected for. So once that's accomplished, then it's just really a matter of measuring each standard relatively quickly since your absorbance is an instant reading. So just sticking that in there, and then you'll see an increase in your absorbance. And it's that quick. If you find your numbers fluctuating a lot, feel free to, at any time, take your zero, and you can zero the machine at any time, just to make sure your background is relatively the same for all your standard readings. And then you continue with the rest of your standards, and now you have enough data to build a calibration curve and measure your unknown.
There, di ba? Very cool, guys. So yun ang way class on how you use AAS. Here naman, ito naman class more modern version.
Hello. In this video, we would like to show you the Graphite Furnace Atomic Absorption Spectrometer, MGA-1000, developed by Lumax Instruments. MGA-1000 provides simple and direct determination of various elements according to the international and regional standards. This is an excellent solution for trace element determination in many industries, from environmental protection to food quality control to petrochemistry. Next, we will show you some of the main features of MGA-1000. The Zeeman high-frequency polarization modulation enables background correction in a whole spectral range from 185 to 900 nanometers. This technology is responsible for simultaneous measurement of total and background absorptions. This leads to accurate background correction, even for complex sample matrices. It also reduces time and resources for sample pretreatment. The autosampler accommodates standard plastic vials and Eppendorf-type tubes. MGA-1000 comes with a user-friendly software for setting operating conditions, data storage, and processing. The instrument works with both traditional hollow cathode lamps and the high-intensity electrodeless discharge lamps. Using EDL improves detection limits for certain elements, such as antimony, bismuth, cadmium, lead, phosphorus, tellurium, thallium, tin, and zinc. Moreover, direct determination of arsenic and selenium at ppb and sub-ppb levels is achieved without hydride generation technique. Analysis requires sample volume from 5 to 40 microliters. The implementation of the stabilized temperature platform furnace concept ensures the best accuracy, precision, repeatability, and detection limits. The instrument is almost noiseless. Our atomic absorption spectrometer MGA-1000 secures optimal combination of high selectivity, sensitivity, and low-cost analysis.
So guys, yung modern take on AAS instrument. So ito class, yung very key part sa AAS, no, yung atomization. So it's composed of several steps daw, according sa book ni Scoob. Nebulization, desolvation, volatilization, dissociation, ionization. So ayan na nga, very, very small na class yan ha, atomic ion. So ito class, nakita nyo kanina yung burner doon, no? So doon nagkakaroon ng flame, no? Doon nagkakaroon class ng atomization. So very common ang flame atomization method. Pinaka-common to date. So in a flame atomizer, a solution of sample is nebulized in the first step by a flow of gaseous oxidant mixed with a gaseous fuel and carried into a flame where atomization occurs. Okay, so ngayon class, na-differentiate natin ang absorption and emission. So kanina pa tayo sa first half na alam nyo na ang absorption. Atoms absorb light of a specific wavelength as it passes through the sample. The amount of light absorbed is directly related to the concentration of the analyte. Kanina pati class alam yan. Paano ang emission? Atoms are excited to higher energy levels and syempre class, they will return to their ground state. And they emit light, hence the term emission. So they emit light as they return to their ground state. The intensity of the emitted light is directly proportional to the concentration of the analyte, allowing for quantitation. So may similarity, no? Here nga lang, emission. Okay, emission ang minimeasure natin. So class, here, ang iba't ibang mga atomic spectroscopic methods. We have here both absorption and emission. Mamandami, yung iba di ako familiar. O class, gawin yung reading homework. Kasi nasa TOS2, nasa table of specifications ng board exam. Kaya kailangan alam natin, both chemist at chemtech, kailangan alam natin ito. Mamaya kan baka example dyan ng ICP para mas madaling maunawaan. Yes, meron. So class, emphasize ko lang muna na here in ICP OES, ito ay very, very applicable for multi-element analysis. So kung gusto mo na marami kang ma-analyze na elements, here tayo sa ICP OES. On the other hand, itong ICP MS naman, for ultra trace metal analysis. O diba? So merong sensitivity taglay, makapangyarihan itong mga ibang methods natin. Class, itong X-ray fluorescence, huwag kayo matakot siya. Sinama lang natin kasi it's still part of atomic methods. Okay? So class, let's watch this video.
What's the job of an ICP OES analyzer? To see what things are made of. To do so, fundamentally, the analyzer turns liquid into light and light into answers. To find out exactly what chemical elements are in a liquid sample, the analyzer runs it through an extremely hot plasma. As the heat excites the atoms and ions of the sample elements, they emit light. The analyzer's optical system captures that light and separates it into spectral lines. The intensity of that light is usually related to the concentration of a given element in the sample. So, this is key. By precisely measuring that light intensity, you can determine which elements are present in the sample and in what proportions. Now, let's take a cutting-edge ICP OES analyzer, such as SpectroArcos. Step by step, here's how it works. The liquid sample is drawn into the peristaltic pump. In the nebulizer, it's converted into a fine aerosol spray. In the spray chamber, larger droplets drain away, but finer droplets are directed into the hot plasma. In the plasma, the sample aerosol vaporizes, and its atoms and ions are excited, so that their characteristic wavelengths are emitted. The light is transferred into the high-resolution, no-purge sealed optical system, which separates the light into the specific wavelengths for the elements to be measured. As these wavelengths strike the detector array, light intensities for each different wavelength are quantified, and sophisticated software converts them into concentration units. So the sample secrets, which elements it contains, in exactly what amounts are revealed. The process is complex, but the results are precise. And those ultra-reliable results make a next-generation ICP OES analyzer, like Spectro Arctos, a truly fundamental tool for busy labs like yours.
Yun. Di ba class, nakita nyo, ganda ng ICP OES na instrument nila. So, mga same na nga sa AES, yes. So, optical or atomic, pareho lang class. Ang mahalaga, nakita nyo, yun yung emission. Yun yung emission mode ng atomic spectroscopy. Yes, class, we are now down to our last few slides. Siyempre, kailangan natin mag-what happened spectra. Identify the term or concept being described. Bakit may part pa? O, wala naman na part class, don't worry. Identify the term or concept being described or determine the best spectroscopic method for each case. Kasi dalawang set of slides class ito. Okay, game. So, ayan. Kailangan nyo ma-identify yung term or concept. This region of the spectrum is analyzed in IR spectroscopy to identify molecular vibrations and functional groups. So, wala pabigay mama, exactly, IR region. This term describes the phenomenon when a sample absorbs energy and electrons jump to higher energy levels. We already know this as absorption. This is this process where a substance absorbs light and re-emits it almost immediately at a longer wavelength. Halamang parang wala niyan kanina. Nasa notes, pero hindi ko diniscuss kanina. Okay, additional info na lang class. So, ito ang fluorescence. This method in atomic spectroscopy uses a hollow cathode lamp and a heated graphite tube, o diba, specific to detect trace metals. So ito class ang graphite furnace, AAS. Very specific siya. This atomic spectroscopy method measures ions based on their mass to charge ratio after plasma atomization. O diba, very specific din. ICP, MS. Okay, o class. Kung meron tayong cases ha, so I'll give you cases or scenario, kayo ang mag-identify kung anong spectral method ang suited. You are given an unknown organic compound and you need to determine the functional groups present. Napakadali naman ba? Siyempre, IR. Next, you need to study the DB transitions and ligand field effects in a coordination complex or coordination compound. O, nagpapanik na. Class, may kinalaman na to sa electronic transitions. Siyempre, UV-Vis. And our third case, you're given an unknown compound and you must determine its full molecular structure. O, hindi na pwedeng IR, hindi pwedeng mass spec, full structure daw. Ano may pinakamakapangyarihan sa structure elucidation? Siyempre, NMR. Next case, guys, you're analyzing an unknown compound and you need to find its molecular weight and fragmentation pattern. Very obvious na class. So the most applicable is, of course, mass spec. A water sample must be analyzed for trace amounts of lead, arsenic, and cadmium to meet environmental safety standards. O, alam na, dapat atomic spectroscopy ito. So AAS. And last case, guys, a geologist needs to determine the concentration of multiple elements in soil samples. Multiple analysis. Anong pinakabagay? Of course, ICP OES. Alright? So guys, yan ang mga cases natin. And of course, yung most applicable or most suited na method. O diba, hanggang dito sa spectro, na-apply natin guys itong mga mesion and what happened na activities natin. O hopefully 1A, you learned a lot sa mga analytical methods natin. Okay? So congratulations guys for surviving our crash courses for analytical. Sana surviving din ang scores sa practice test ninyo. So do not forget to submit your practice test answers through our forms. Guys, especially kay 1A, kahit may practice test forms kayo, hindi ibig sabihin nun na hindi na kayo nagre-record ng solutions and answers ninyo. Di ba pinadala namin kayo ng Quantum Kits? You receive all of your practice test booklets in org, FEChem, and now analytical. Dapat guys, dun kayo nagsusulat ng solutions and answers. Dapat lang. Kasi guys, kailangan organized, systematic tayo when we record our notes, our solutions, and answers para madaling mag-review. Okay, dapat kasi guys, bago kayo mag-evaluation exam, na-review nyo lahat ng crash course, nakapag-answer again ng practice test. Kung gusto nyo, panoorin nyo pa ulit yung mga recordings ng practice test discussion. Ganun class, para complete yung learning bago kayo mag-eval exam. Alright? So 1A, inaasahan ko ha, na kayo ay magiging on time. You do your best to become on time. Alright?